Rain fell over the Crimson Moon Pack on the night Elena Voss was cast out. She stood at the edge of the training grounds, soaked to the bone, staring at the man who had once promised to protect her with his life. Alpha King Draven Ashford did not look at her with love anymore. His eyes were hard, distant, like stone that had never known warmth. "You betrayed this pack," he said. His voice did not shake. "You gave our territory lines to the Ashwood clan. I trusted you, Elena. I made you my mate in front of everyone." "I did nothing wrong," Elena said, her voice breaking even as she tried to stay strong. "Draven, please, someone is lying to you. Look at me. You know me." But Draven had already turned away. Beside him stood his beta, Corin, a tall wolf with a calm face and a heart full of ambition. It was Corin who had forged the letters. It was Corin who had planted the map in Elena's chambers. He wanted the throne, and Elena, an outsider from a smaller pack, had always been an easy target. Draven, blinded by grief over his father's recent death, and desperate to trust someone, believed every word Corin whispered. "Leave before sunrise," Draven said. "If you are seen within pack borders again, you will be treated as an enemy." Elena did not beg again. She had too much pride for that. She walked away that night with nothing but the clothes on her back and a heart shattered into pieces. She did not yet know that she was carrying his child. 5 years passed. Elena built a new life far from wolf territory, in a small human town where no one asked questions about pack politics or moonlit howls. She worked as a seamstress, sewing dresses and mending coats to pay rent on a tiny apartment above a bakery. Her son, Kai, was her entire world. He had her dark hair and her stubborn chin, but his eyes were pale gold, just like his father's. Kai was unlike other wolf children. He did not shift, not even once, though pack children usually showed early signs by the time they were 3. Elena told herself it did not matter. She raised him gently, teaching him kindness, patience, and the value of hard work. She never told him about his father. She never told him what he truly was. On the morning of Kai's 5th birthday, everything changed. Elena was making pancakes when she heard Kai cry out from his room. She rushed in and found him sitting up in bed, clutching his shoulder, tears streaming down his face. When she pulled back his sleeve, she saw it, a mark, glowing faintly silver, shaped like a wolf's head crowned with a circle of stars. Her breath caught in her throat. She had heard stories of this mark as a child, whispered around fires by pack elders. It was the mark of the Wolf King, a bloodline so old it was believed to be extinct, said to belong only to the first wolves who ever walked the earth. Whoever carried it was destined to unite every pack under one banner. "Mama, it hurts," Kai whimpered. Elena held him close, her mind racing. If anyone saw this mark, it would put a target on her son's back. Rogue packs, power-hungry alphas, and rival clans would stop at nothing to control a child with such power, or to destroy him before he could grow into it. She tried to keep life normal for the next few days, but she noticed things. Strange wolves lurking near the edge of town. A man who watched their apartment from across the street for too long. One evening, as she walked Kai home from the bakery, 3 rogue wolves surrounded them in a narrow alley, their eyes hungry and calculating. "Give us the boy," one of them growled, "and you can walk away." Elena did not hesitate. She pushed Kai behind her and shifted into her wolf form, snarling despite knowing she was outnumbered. She managed to injure one of the rogues before a second one knocked her to the ground. Just as the third lunged toward Kai, a deep, powerful howl echoed through the alley, and a massive black wolf tore through the darkness, throwing the rogue against the wall with ease. Elena's heart stopped. She knew that wolf. She knew that howl. Draven had been tracking rumors for weeks about a woman and child bearing the ancient mark near the edges of human territory. He had told himself it was pack duty, nothing more. But deep down, some part of him had hoped, foolishly, painfully, that it might be her. When he saw Elena's face in the moonlight, bruised and exhausted but alive, something inside him broke open. "Elena," he said, shifting back to human form, his voice hoarse. She scrambled up, pulling Kai protectively against her side. "Stay away from us. You're hurt. Let me help you." "You exiled me," she snapped. her voice trembling with old pain. "You didn't even give me a chance to explain, and now you want to help?" Draven's jaw tightened. He had rehearsed this moment 1,000 times in his mind over the years. Yet now that it was here, all his carefully prepared words disappeared. All he could do was look at the boy standing beside her, a boy with his own golden eyes staring back at him with confusion and fear. "Is he?" Draven started. "Don't," Elena warned. "Not here. Not like this." The remaining rogue wolves fled into the night, but Draven knew more would come. The mark on Kai's shoulder was not something that could be hidden forever, especially not now that it had begun to glow. He insisted on escorting them to the pack's border safe house for the night, promising Elena that no harm would come to her or Kai while they were under his protection. Reluctantly, exhausted and with nowhere else to turn, Elena agreed. That night, after Kai had fallen asleep, Elena sat across from Draven in the small safe house kitchen, a single candle flickering between them. "Tell me the truth," Draven said quietly. "Is he mine?" Elena's eyes filled with tears she refused to let fall. "You never asked me for the truth 5 years ago. You believed Corin over me without a second thought. Why should I give you the truth now?" "Because I was wrong," Draven said, his voice raw. "I have spent 5 years trying to find out what really happened that night. 6 months ago, I discovered the letters were forged. The map was planted. Corin did it all to secure his own position, hoping that once you were gone, he could manipulate me into naming him heir." Elena stared at him, stunned. "You knew? For 6 months, you knew I was innocent, and you did nothing?" "I searched for you," Draven said. "I searched every territory, every human town within 100 miles. I thought you had vanished completely. I never stopped looking, Elena. Not for one single day." The pain in his voice was undeniable, but Elena's wounds ran deep. Trust, once shattered, could not be rebuilt with words alone. Still, watching him now, seeing the exhaustion etched into his face, the guilt he carried like a second skin, she found herself softening, despite every instinct telling her to protect her heart. "He's yours," she finally whispered. "Kai is your son." Draven closed his eyes, a mixture of joy and grief washing over him. Joy at finally knowing his son, grief at all the years he had missed, all the moments of Kai's first steps, first words, first laugh, that he could never get back. "I want to be part of his life," Draven said, "and yours, if you'll allow it. Not because of the mark, not because of prophecy or bloodlines, because I never stopped loving you, and I will spend the rest of my life proving that to you, if you'll let me." Elena did not answer right away. Too much had happened, too much time had passed, but she did not send him away either. Over the following days, word spread through the pack that the Alpha King's exiled mate had returned, along with a son bearing the legendary mark. Whispers turned to murmurs, murmurs turned to open discussion, and soon rival packs began making bold moves, sensing an opportunity to seize power, while the Crimson Moon Pack was distracted by internal turmoil. Corin, sensing his carefully built lies were unraveling, grew desperate. He began spreading rumors among the pack elders that Elena had returned only to steal the throne for her son, twisting the truth once again to protect himself. Draven called a pack meeting to address the growing tension. Standing before hundreds of wolves gathered in the great hall, he took Elena's hand, and together, with Kai standing bravely between them, he told the full truth. He confessed his own mistake in trusting Corin's lies without question. He exposed the forged letters, which he had kept locked away as evidence, and revealed Corin's long history of manipulation within the Pack Council. Corin, cornered and out of options, attempted to flee the hall, but he did not get far. Pack guards, loyal to the truth once it was laid bare before them, stopped him before he reached the doors. The elders, horrified at the depth of his deception, stripped him of his title on the spot. But the true test was still to come. That same night, rogue forces, gathered secretly by outside packs hoping to capture Kai before Crimson Moon could fully unite behind him, launched an attack on the northern border. Alarms rang through the territory. Wolves scrambled to defend their home, and Draven, though desperate to stay by Elena and Kai's side, knew his duty as king could not wait. "Stay hidden," he told Elena, gripping her shoulders. "Whatever happens, protect Kai. Draven, wait." But he was already gone, racing toward the border with his warriors close behind. The battle was fierce. Rogue wolves, larger and more numerous than expected, pushed hard against the Crimson Moon defenders. Draven fought at the front lines, his black fur streaked with mud and blood, refusing to fall back even as exhaustion set into his muscles. He fought not just for his pack, but for the family he had only just begun to know. Meanwhile, back at the safe house, Elena felt a strange pull in her chest, a mother's instinct screaming that something was wrong. She looked at Kai, who was staring at his glowing shoulder mark with wide, frightened eyes. "I want to help," Kai said softly. "I can feel them, the wolves fighting. I want to help Papa." Elena's heart clenched at the word Papa, spoken so easily, so naturally, as though 5 years of absence had never happened. She knelt beside her son, brushing his dark hair from his forehead. "You're going to help him one day," she said gently, "but not with fighting, not yet. For now, we trust him to protect us, just like he's protecting everyone else." As if summoned by her words, the mark on Kai's shoulder flared brighter, sending a pulse of warmth through the safe house. Miles away, at the height of the battle, Draven felt a surge of strength rush through his body, sharp and sudden, as though something ancient had reached across the distance to aid him. With renewed force, he rallied his warriors, pushing the rogue attackers back beyond the border until they scattered into the forest in retreat. By dawn, the fighting had ended. Crimson Moon Pack stood victorious, battered but unbroken. Draven returned to the safe house exhausted, wounded, but alive. And the moment Elena saw him limping through the door, she rushed to his side without hesitation, all her guarded distance forgotten in the flood of relief. "You came back," she whispered. "I promised I would," he said, wincing as she helped him to a chair. "I do not break my promises. Not anymore." Kai ran to him next, wrapping small arms around his father's waist as best he could. Draven knelt despite his injuries, holding his son close for the first time as a true family. No secrets left between them, no lies standing in their way. In the weeks that followed, the pack slowly healed. Corrin was exiled, stripped of rank, and sent far from Crimson Moon territory, forbidden from ever returning. Draven worked tirelessly to rebuild trust among his people, proving through action, not just words, that he had changed. He did not rush Elena, he did not demand she forgive him fully, or return to being his mate overnight. Instead, he simply showed up, every single day, patient and steady, earning back piece by piece what his mistake had once destroyed. Elena watched him with Kai during quiet evenings, teaching him how to fish in the pack's river, telling him stories about the wolves who came before them, laughing at Kai's endless questions with a warmth she had almost forgotten he possessed. Slowly, carefully, her heart began to open again, not because she had forgotten the pain of the past, but because she saw, clearly and honestly, the man Draven was choosing to become. Months later, the pack held a ceremony beneath the full moon to formally recognize Kai as the true heir of the ancient Wolf King bloodline. Packs from distant territories sent representatives to witness the historic event, drawn by stories of the mark that had not appeared in 1,000 years. Kai stood between his parents, his small shoulders squared with a confidence beyond his years, as Draven addressed the gathered crowd. "My son carries a legacy older than any of us," Draven said, his voice steady and proud. "But more importantly, he carries kindness, courage, and honesty, values his mother taught him during years I was not there to help. I owe her a debt I can never fully repay, but I intend to spend the rest of my life trying." Elena, standing beside him with tears in her eyes, reached for his hand. This time, she did not pull away. The Crimson Moon Pack entered a new era that night, one built not on fear or forced loyalty, but on truth, redemption, and the unbreakable bond of a family finally made whole. Raven had lost everything once, through blind trust and unchecked pride, but in finding his way back to Elena and Kai, he discovered something far more valuable than any throne, a second chance he never thought he deserved, and a love strong enough to survive even the deepest betrayal. And as the moon rose high above the packlands, casting silver light over the reunited family, the mark on Kai's shoulder glowed softly one final time, not as a warning or a burden, but as a promise of the peaceful future that lay ahead for them all.